Hello and welcome to the Luscious Living Podcast. I'm your host, Celine Vilgan, holistic nutrition consultant and the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. All right, welcome everyone to the Luscious Living Podcast. I am honored, delighted, excited to have the Alexandra Villaoroel Abrigo. Hopefully I said that with the best accent possible.
You did.
On the show, she is a Canadian businesswoman, actually in Montreal. She's a best-selling author of Beyond Beauty, a guide to full feminine power. Actually, full feminine, that was really the name of your tour. But the book is all about feminine energy and really beauty from the inside out, and that is available on Amazon. You are a trilingual coach, which is just incredible because you produce 3 times the amount of work that someone does for a single YouTube video or email or online program, and your events coming up. You are also awarded on notable awards and really through the Immigration and Cultural Center when you were 22 years old. You've been at this since you were 19. Your topics range from everywhere from spirituality to personal development, professional development, to love, self-love. You have reached over 150 countries, 10 million views on YouTube. It is, no surprise as to why I'm so excited to have you. And I've taken so many of your courses, continue to learn from you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. I feel like, wow, thank you.
You're like, that's me. Hey, that's talking about me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be able to share with you. Once again, we've already shared, in the past, but to now be on your podcast is really an honor. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So with that, you started your journey at 19 years old. You were getting up at 4 a.m. every day to work at a job you absolutely hated. And you started to really kind of question life. And, you didn't just have this opportunity in this lifestyle the way that you have reached so many women and men all randomly. When I first heard your story, it blew my mind and it continues to speak to my soul. Alexandra, how on earth did you get started doing what you do?
Well, as you said, I was 19 years old, so I can't believe it seems like it just it's like it was yesterday, when all of that happened. So let's get back to when I was 19, which is, I just want to say the year because I think it's important for people to understand what was going on in the world, right? This was before Instagram. This was when YouTube was fairly new. It was just the beginning of all of this new world that we now live in, right? So this was 2009, the year. So just to give the quick story, right, of how everything happened. When I was 18, I left my mom's house. I went to live with a friend of mine in an apartment. It was, I think that decision, looking back, I made that decision because I wanted to start my adult life. And I felt like my adult life hadn't really started because I wasn't going to college like a lot of the people that I knew were going to college or university. I wasn't doing that because I was a very bad teenager. They're my teenage years. So actually, there was a lot, like the worst colleges, Cégep, which we call it in Quebec. They didn't accept me, like the worst ones. Like I got a refusal letter from the worst one. So at that point, my only other choice was to work full time to start, going into the work force. And then I said, okay, let me just start my life. I couldn't afford an apartment on my own. So I talked with a friend of mine and we said, let's do it. And so we did. We moved in together. I remember August of 2008. I was 18. The first year of living in the apartment, it was a blast. Like looking back, I think one day I'll just make a sitcom of that year. The two young 18-year-old girls living together in the apartment. It was, I can even it was a blast. Like we really had the best time. It was the apartment, the 401. We called it the apartment of the 401, the ladies of the 401. We had all our friends over all the time, like on Monday nights and Tuesday nights. And it was constant fun. And, we worked full time. Both of us, I was working at a call center. And so for a year, it was great. It was wonderful. There was a lot of drama involved because we were the typical bad girls, not bad girls in the term of We didn't do drugs. We weren't promiscuous, but we were bad girls in terms that we liked to party, we liked to drink, and we had boyfriends that were very, very, very bad boys, right? That did
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really bad things in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were in this world, and after a year of living in that apartment, it was kind of like, okay, so I've been doing this for a year. At that point, it was starting to feel very repetitive, right? It's like every weekend we're doing the same things with the same people, and nothing changes. And I'm someone, and as far as I look back, even when I was there, a teenager, I like new things. I like life to always bring me challenges and always try to reach another level. That's why at 18 I moved out, because I was like, I want to have a new challenge in my life. So after a year of doing that, I was like, okay, at this point, I really don't like the job that I'm in. I remember I got this opportunity to become a supervisor. So at that point, I was a supervisor, but I was like, I look at the people that work here, that have worked here for like 30 years, which you could do a career at that job. It was a great job with great benefits. But I was like, I see these people who are in their 50s, and I don't want to be them. I don't want to be them. There's nothing wrong with being them. They have a great life and everything, but that's not for me. So what could I do? I remember actually at the time, I remember one day taking the day off and going to Concordia University in Montreal to have a day of like visit, because when you turn 21 in, I think it's across Canada, you can go to university as an adult student, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you get your credits there, you kind of finish. So I was thinking of taking that option. I got there, I got all the information. I still had to wait about 2-3 years. I was like, maybe I can wait, then I'll start university.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was looking at the different options, right? That could be available for me at that point. I knew, like I said, I didn't want to work full time, but then life started to get a little more dramatic towards that summer of 2009, a year after. It started to get very dramatic in the relationship that I had with that young man that I was in love with at the time. That was like my big first love. So I was kind of ending that. There started to be also some drama with the girl that I was living with, because we were friends. And this is something that people don't know, because I never share this. So I can be very impulsive, because we were friends, but we hadn't been friends for a long time. We had been friends for like 3 months before moving in.
Okay.
I met her at adult school after high school. So we kind of didn't know each other that much. And then all of a sudden we started to not get along too well. And just a lot of things started to fall apart. A lot of things started to fall apart also financially, because now it had been a year that I was living my life, doing my thing. We had purchased all of our furnitures with credit cards, and I was just putting everything on credit cards. And when you're 18, schools don't teach you about interest rates. I was just opening credit cards at like 29% interest rate, paying the minimum every month. And at some point, I reached the limit of all of my cards and was really living paycheck to paycheck, but like bad, where like after the first day of my paycheck came, like I couldn't even afford anything. So just things started to fall apart. And I remember towards the end of the summer of 2009, at some point, after a series of dramatic events that happened, personal and financial life and all kinds of things, one day I was in the shower and I just got the idea, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. And I felt like I could write a book because I've always been a great writer. One thing I could do in school was to write. I was always good at that. Another thing that I knew is I could write interesting stories, because I would always live interesting things. Like even when I was a teenager, like I would always have very like things that you like. It really sounds
like
funny.
This is a movie or a story.
Yeah. A lot of people, like even my friends, were like, I can't believe you went through that. Like there was a lot of things like that in my life. So I was like, I think I could write something that's very interesting. And then at the same time, as I was starting to write this book, which was going to be about my life, I started to feel a little bit, I don't know, it was like, it's a lot to share, right, with the world when you're 19, starting your life. So I was writing a lot of, details about my teenagers, about different things. So then I started to discover at the same time personal development. And then I said, I'm going to transition this book. I'm going to turn this book into instead a personal development book. So that's how the transition happened towards that time. I remember also a few months before, I shared the story in courses and a lot of times, because that was a very marking point. It was right before, I think I was about to turn 19. And I was coming back from work one night. I was working till late, around like 11 p.m. And one of the supervisors there, who was around my age, he was very, very nice. I used to always, he was pass by, say hi. We didn't really know him, but, he was always there, very nice. And he said, let me drive you back home. It's dangerous for you to take the bus at this time. It's late at night. Let me drive you back home. I said, sure. I remember we were in the car, and the whole way to my house, we started to have these very interesting conversations. It was the first time in my life that I spoke
Mm.
to someone who knew so much about so many things. He was speaking about numerology, he was speaking about astrology, about metaphysics, topics that I was completely new to, right? I wasn't even
Mhm.
19 yet. And then I remember he asked me, "How old are you?" And I remember I told him, "I'm about to turn 19." And I remember he was holding the wheel and he said 191919. And he's like, 1 and 9 are the two numbers of the infinite. Everything you are going to learn at the age of 19 will change your life forever. And I don't know why, but I took that seriously. And that's why when
Mhm.
I turned 19, I started to read a lot. I started to learn, the first book I read was Think and Grow Rich. Then The Secret came out at around that time. So I
Mhm.
started to read that. So I started to get into personal development because of that conversation that I have. And I really believe that there's angels in this world. There's always angels sending us messages and being there, to guide us. Because it's funny because that young man, after that night, I never saw him again. He changed departments. I think they moved into another floor. We never crossed paths again. I never saw him again after that night.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. I remember at some point thinking like, did I imagine this person? Like, was it like, was I actually on that in that car?
I understand though when you're like, was this an actual human? Was it an angel? Was it like,
Mhm.
yeah, I understand. I've had that. And you're like, I can't explain it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. So that's how it all started. I started to write the book. That was the first thing. Then one day, I think because I was starting to research a lot on personal development, an ad on Facebook showed up on my computer, and it was about life coaching. And I was like, life coaching? What is life coaching? Again, keep in mind, this was 2009, very new. So I
Yep.
clicked on it. I started to read on it. It was like, yeah, this is something I could really do. I was like, why wasn't this an option when I was younger? Like I could really see
Mhm.
myself doing this. So I remember with the amount that was left on my credit card, I signed up to the course
Mhm.
to become a coach. I did my certification at the end of 2009, right before I turned 20. And then when I turned 20, the year 2010, that's when a lot of things happened. That's when I uh, published my book. That's when of course, I was a coach. So I started my coaching business. I remember I launched my website at the end of 2009. I remember I contacted Nikki, who is still my friend up to this day, Miss Nichols, I call her, and who just had a baby, by the way. I have to say it. She's
Aw.
such a beautiful mom. She's such a beautiful mom. So anyways, I contacted her just by pure coincidence. We had contacts in common, and she was a graphic designer at that point, a web designer. And again, keep in mind, this was before WordPress. So if you wanted a website,
Before WordPress,
yeah, well, or maybe WordPress was there, but I didn't know
but it's
about it,
like
right?
not what it
It's
is now.
fairly new, yeah.
Right.
So if you wanted a website, there wasn't like Wix and all of these options. So if you wanted a
Right.
website, you have to hire a developer. So she was a developer, like she knew how to do that. So I hired her. She did my website, and yeah, and that's how it all started. Then 2010, that's also when I published my first video on YouTube. It was April of 2010, I remember. And that the first, already from the first videos, I think because it was the beginning of YouTube, it wasn't something that people were doing at the time. They became very popular very fast. People started watching, just started sharing, commenting, and yeah, and things started from there, over 10 years ago.
You had a viral video that you talked about that kind of happened almost overnight. And I think that it's easy for people to kind of bank on, like, oh, I have this one video that's going to go viral. But you've shown up consistently over, I guess, 13 years now, right? And so looking back, you've talked about this before, but did you think you were crazy when you're like, my friends are going out and I'm working on this? Is this going to work out? Can you talk about that self-doubt and how you navigated it then and versus now? Actually, does it come up now? Very curious about that.
Yes, there was the year 2010, and I would say mostly the year 2011 were very difficult because I had my family and friends like try to do interventions like every 2 weeks because they thought I was going crazy. They thought like, what is she doing making videos on YouTube? Like I will always remember
Yes.
that. When I was working at that job full time, I had the opportunity to buy a condo. It was a new construction, so because I was working full time, it had been over like close to 2 years. I was approved by the bank. So I remember that the condo was going to be ready at the beginning of 2011. So my lease with my friend, which we lived together 2 years, would end in the summer. of that year. So from mid 2010 to start of 2011, I had to go back to my mom's house in the basement. So I had my room in the basement that was still there. And I remember I was filming my videos, and I will always remember, and I tell my mom, and now she feels so bad about it, because I will always remember I was working, right, full time during the day, and I would go back home. And at night, I would film videos. I think they're still on YouTube. I would put like boxes on top of boxes and take this little camera on my bed. I would put the boxes on my bed, and then put the camera, then press on it, and then record myself. And it was probably around 1 a.m. that I was filming this video, because I was on work and then I was working the next day. And as I was filming, and at the time I didn't know how to edit videos, so I had to do it one shot, right? So I was almost done with the video. I will always remember. And my mom stormed into my room and she was like, "What are you doing? It's 1 a.m., Alexandra. Stop with your YouTube videos." Like, and I would remember I was so mad. I was like, "Mom,
you don't understand."
You don't understand.
Totally.
And I remember she left, and I remember I wanted to cry. Like, I was so sad. I was so mad at the same time. And then she left, and I filmed the video again. So
good
there
for
was a
you.
lot of that. Yeah, I published it after the next day. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that in those first 2 years, especially. It really, how can I say, it really became a lot more in the year of 2011. That was a year that was a lot more of that. But there was this, at the same time, there was a lot of uncertainty, but there was this certainty that I felt within me. There was this voice. I don't know how we can call it. I guess it's like your higher self or God. I don't know what it is, but there was always this voice inside saying, "No, this is going to work. I know this is going to work." And then life was also giving me a lot of signs, when the video became viral, the first video in French, even my first, because I started YouTube in English first for the first year. So in 2010, when I started in English, even my first video, at first I would publish them mostly on Facebook, and they would get a lot of shares. And I remember I was like, okay, I think this is going to work. It wouldn't surpass, like, let's say, 5,000 views, but still I felt like, you know what, I think this is going to be fine. I think we'll be fine. So across the road, there was always that, and there was always some people that would believe in me. There was, like in 2011, after my first video in French went viral, I got approached by a lot of production companies and a lot of television channels that wanted to create a show, or like the Alexandra show, like a type of like talk show. So I remember that was like a confirmation of like, okay, so maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe the people around me don't see it yet, but that's because they know the old Alexandra. They've always known, right? But then there's other people that actually see something in me. So there was always this hope. And to continue with your question, nowadays, I think there's always that, whenever you continue on your path, now it's been a long time, right? And there's always going to be bigger goals, right? You're going to set yourself bigger goals and higher things that you want to achieve. And at this point, I have to say that it's a lot more comfortable, because when you have proved to yourself that you have been able to do it many, many, many times, and it has worked. And yes, there has been obstacles and everything, but it's going to work in the end. There's this confidence that comes through this experience. So I believe that there's confidence that comes from experience, and then there's also divine confidence that I think just comes from voice or guidance or something in the universe telling you that it's going to be fine, that you should keep on going, right? And don't give up.
You talk so much about signs, and that, kind of like The Alchemist as well, the book The Alchemist. So you're always talking about some kind of sign, and we don't have to get into this in this conversation, but your big move, right? And just like how the universe is also showing you signs, symptoms of case something needs to change in that way. I want to actually come back to, you're talking about, you build that confidence through your success and consistency. Where have you also kind of, you look back and you're like, these are some big lessons and kind of fuck up moments that you've had, that you're like, okay, well, if this didn't happen, I wouldn't have learned that. Is there anything that comes to mind?
I would say, first of all, in 2012, the story, right, where I almost went to prison for possession of counterfeit money. So that wasn't a fuck up of mine. That was simply
no, that was not.
That was just life. But then again, that taught me like a lot of the lessons. I wouldn't have gone into spirituality. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for that situation. So that's definitely that. One thing that now it's going to be a premiere on your podcast, but I'm going to talk about it in the next few years. It's in 2020, my business got audited with taxes, right? So that
Mhm.
was a big lesson, like a big financial lesson, which again, it wasn't really like a fuck up of mine because it was more on accountants. But
Yeah.
then at that point, you learn a lot, and that can be very, like they say, as an entrepreneur, like one of the biggest, if you survive like issues with tax issues, like but we're talking major tax issues,
Yeah.
7-figure type of tax issues, then
Yeah.
you can really survive whatever. So in 2020, during COVID, because they don't care about that. The government, they decided to do that, and yeah, that was definitely. I'll talk about it more in the next few years. It just like now, a few months ago, it has ended that situation, but it was a long, very difficult, very stressful situation. But again, because I went through what I went through in 2012, which I almost went to prison for 17 years for something I didn't do, there's
Yes.
not much that can stress me out in life after that. Whatever else happens, I'm just like, it is what it is. No one's gonna die. So I always say,
Totally.
life. I have this joke with, because my mom, she's so sweet, but she's someone, I think it's generational. Like I see the generation of in the 60s, the boomers, they're very stressed out. I don't know. There's a lot of
Yep,
young
I
people
can relate. Yeah.
they're very stressed out, about a lot of things. So
Yeah.
I always tell my mom, I'm like, in life, mom, there's rarely problems. There's mostly inconveniences. And there's 3 levels of inconveniences. So, anyways, I always tell her about this, kind of a joke. I say there's inconvenience level 1, inconvenience level 2, inconvenience level 3. And then there's problems. If it's a problem, because someone, like a child, is
Mm.
going to die. Because even inconvenience number 3, it's if someone dies, but then we're all going to die. So it doesn't really
Mhm.
matter. It's not that much of
Mhm.
a problem, right? A problem is when like a child is going to die. That's a problem, right? That's like something major, right? But then besides that, life just throws inconveniences at you, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So yeah, that
That's
would
a
be it.
really good way of looking at it, actually, because then it just lessens the situation and like the stress of it, and you can just look for the solution after that,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
and there's a lot of like some side conversations that you can find on Alexandra's YouTube channel about some of this, or like even going back of how you started, your dream that you had with that man as well, right? So there's a lot of pieces that you'll learn, fill in the gaps on the channel, which I will link. And on that note about lessons, when you look back 5 years ago, what would you have told that Alexandra when it comes to either business or finances, something to do with, yeah, just like you look back 5 years ago, what would you have told yourself?
it's so funny because when we say 5 years ago, I think like 2015, but no, 5 years ago was 2018. It's like because of COVID, like we kind of like
I know it's like
lost
a little
it.
blurrier. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2018, 5 years ago would be 2018. 2018. At this point, right now, I was on tour for Full Feminine
Yes.
Power.
Yeah.
Um, I would say right now, I would say to Alexandra 5 years ago, enjoy this ride. Enjoy it, because it's going to go like this, and you're not going to even realize. And then you're going to look back after and going to be like, what a ride this has been. So that's what I would say. Then I would tell her, if I could foresee what was going to happen in the next few years, which was, the pandemic, I would say take an official break for a good 3 years. Just take a break, like retire from social media. Just take a break, just because you deserve it, because you've been doing this for a long time, and
Mhm.
it's okay. It's going to be okay to take a break. So I would really say that, not because I needed a break at that point, but because I feel like it's necessary. I think it's fun. I like the idea of mystery. So I like to kind of disappear a little bit and then reappear. And usually I would do it for like short. I did it for like a short period, right? But I would say really like just disconnect, like disappear, where people are going to be like, what happened? She's gone. It's been 3 years. What's happening? And then come back. I would honestly give her that as a business advice, because I would say I
Mm.
would say this is going to give you the time to just enjoy the success that you've built. Just live your life, you know, do whatever you want to do, relax, garden and cook and do whatever you want to do.
Totally.
Um, and then after that, come back. I don't know why, but I would say that. I would say that because I feel like during COVID, the way my business is, even if it's an online business, I like contact with people, right? So I
Mhm.
like the in-person experience, which is why now we're doing another tour. I really enjoyed that. So for me, COVID, it was great. I mean, during the 2020 was such a great year, for business, for all online businesses.
Yes, it
We did
was.
amazing. It was great. But I didn't have as much fun as I
Mhm.
like to have when we are out there doing events or when we are out there filming content. Like I like to have a team where I film with them. I like to have my team with me. I like this experience, photo shoots. I really like that. So it was kind of, it wasn't boring, but it was a little bit like slow for me. I feel like it was slow the past few years.
Right.
Yeah.
And then have you set up your business in a way, because you have courses and programs that even if you took that break and you allowed yourself, because again, all your 20s was all the grind, right? And then you've set up your business in such a way that no matter what, if you took that time off, you would still be running.
Exactly. We have 15 online courses, and pretty much everything is automated. I would say also looking back, 5 years ago in 2020, we were going to also launch the new versions of the programs. So it's either I would have said, no, we're not going to do it, or I would have done them live like we're doing them now live, right? Because then we delayed it because we would always think like, oh, it's coming back, like the world is going to open again. We can do the photo shoots, we can travel to, but then again, it would close. So it was a long delay, right? So I would say like, just do them for the next few months live, that's it, and then disappear, or simply just stay with the old versions. Like, who cares, just keep them and let them
really good.
Them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So, okay, that's brilliant, because that leads me to then the masculine, feminine energy that you teach about. I've learned so much from you on that. So you have an upcoming tour called the Renaissance Woman, which is just brilliant. And, you talk about initially, especially your first videos were more, like you said yesterday on your live, was more about the masculine energy, about goals, and then more about feminine energy. And I see so much on social media, especially when people are trying to build something, they're like, yeah, just like relax, enjoy, this, like, whatever. It's like, it's all very, like too much in the feminine energy, I find. And when you're building something, it takes work. It is a hustle. It is a grind, as much as people don't want to hear that. And now you're kind of like bridging both of those pieces together. Can you talk about, like, when people say these like niceties on social media, whatever it is, it does take a grind, does it not, to build a business and to go and really, because I'm sure you've seen so many people over the years fizzle out. I saw Gary Vee had shared that like more podcasts than ever were started in 2020, but a fraction of them have only ever continued. So my question is really like, what do you see in most of the people that you coach? Are they more leaning on feminine energy or more masculine energy? And yeah, let's start there, because there's so many questions I want to ask you about that.
Yes, well, it's such a great question, because there's really been a shift. And I've seen this shift in the English world, then in the French world, and now it's happening in the Spanish world. Very, very interesting. It always happens in that way. So I can always predict what's going to happen in the French world and then what's going to happen in the Spanish world according to what's going to happen in the English world. So in the English world, I believe it was around the year of 2015 that the transition from masculine energy popular businesses went from, okay, the popular businesses now are more feminine energy. It lasted about 2-3 years, and then after that, it's it like, as you said, fizzled out, right? Then in the French world, it started to happen around 2018, 2019. A lot of feminine energy going like, oh no, it's all about the vibes, it's all about manifesting and all of that. That switched, and now in the Spanish world, it's happening right now. Right now, there's a lot of people coming out as coaches on manifesting, on the energetics of money and all of that. Now it's happening right now as we speak. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I wonder how it is for the other languages too. I wonder like if in what order they are. But that's totally for these three. So that's what's happening. That's what has been happening for years now. I think there was a deficit of feminine energy for a long time. There is still a deficit of feminine energy in many different areas, but I think right now in the online business world, especially in the coaching world, this deficit has most definitely been compensated, and now we are going to the extreme feminine energy businesses. And then a lot of people wonder why their business is not successful, financially, or why they don't get the results they want, because it's the divine dance between the masculine and the feminine. That's what is required. And until you understand that, until you realize that if you want to be successful in business, you just need to really pair these two energies. As simple as that. You just need to take these two energies and use them, right? Because if here's the thing, I see a lot of people, and I was like that, being really in their masculine energy, which is all about hustle. It's all about work. It's all about never stopping. Da, 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 you know, I was there when I first started, when I was 20, 21. I was just listening to Rocky, you know, all day long, the speech, you know, and that's
Totally.
what I wouldn't sleep like at night. I sleep 2 hours a night, and I was like, it's okay. I'm going to make it. That's fine. And then, thank God, the situation that I went through in 2012 happened, which forced me to stop at that point, because at that point I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to prison. And when you go through a situation like that, which is, you know, it feels very unfair. You feel like a victim of the universe. You don't know why it's happening to you. Life kind of forces you to go into the spiritual world, right? To seek answers, to try to understand the why. Why is this happening to me? So that's when I started to really go into that. And that's when I started to discover about the chakras and about, you know, the power of living in the present, and then feminine energy. And that started from there. Then I went a lot on feminine energy, but I think I never went into the extreme of feminine energy, because I know why. It's because I was raised by a single mom. I was
Yes.
raised by a single mom.
Was an immigrant. Yeah.
My grandma and my grandpa. And my grandma is a very strong lady. She's always had such a strong personality. I spent most of my days with her at home while my mom was working. And she always taught me to never take nothing from no one, you know, to always stand up for myself, and to, you know, up to this day, she's 94, and she always like, if you mess with her, she's like, go fuck yourself. You know, she's so funny. She's so funny. So I was raised in a lot of this masculine energy. So it's even for me sometimes difficult to really get into my feminine energy. But you need both. You need both. You need to learn when each is required, and how to really tap into both energies. So I don't think you can be successful with only one energy. You can perhaps be successful for a very short period of time, but it's not going to last. It doesn't bring longevity. I think you need really both. You need really both.
Would you say that's something that you've noticed in the coaching space of people who don't last, is they just don't have enough masculine energy to really go for the goal, stay consistent, or they're too in the masculine energy? Would you say that you kind of see a little bit of both of those?
It's both extremes. When someone is in both extremes, because if you are in too much masculine energy, you're eventually going to burn out. That's what's going to happen. You can force your body to go in go hustle mode for just, you know, a period of time, but at some point you're going to have a burnout, or you're going to get sick. Or what happens as a woman, if you have too much masculine energy and you're always in the go, you start to have women issues, right? So there's a lot right now. They're connecting science with the spiritual world, where a lot of women who are a lot on the masculine energy, that have a lot of demanding positions and work, have end up having breast cancer or ovarian cancer. So I think eventually it can impact that. It can impact your health. Now, if you have too much feminine energy, as you said, you're just not going to last, because you just can't commit, right? And you're just not focused, and you just don't have the discipline, and you're just not consistent, you know, in your work. And that's just, of course, not going to be a lasting business.
So it's interesting, because I'm a holistic nutritionist. I see a lot of women with, say, PCOS, which where you stop menstruating is very in their masculine, and somehow have, you know, I'm going to say this generally, either rejected femininity, rejected being a woman, and they're in male dominated industries with the, you know, thyroid challenges, hypo, speaking up or speaking too little. Like it's inevitable. I can't not see it in my practice. And so I so appreciate you saying that. And I'm curious, how do you nurture your masculine, feminine energies while being a businesswoman, having multiple programs and clients and things like this? And also still like just being absolutely radiant, every time I've seen you, and just really like being able to tap into both. What are some of your practices?
For feminine energy, I love doing things for feminine energy because it's so much fun. I do spa once a week. I have a lot of treatments that I get once a week. I can share them with everyone. I have a massage once a week. I have right now, I'm getting IV vitamins injected into my bloodstream. I alternate between weeks. 1 week it's IV vitamins, and the other week is ozone therapy that I do. I get, it's really, really good. I get facials once a month. Right now I'm not getting acupuncture, but I was getting it when I was in Montreal. I was getting it every single week, acupuncture. So I do a lot of self-care, a lot of self-love. I spend a lot of time with myself. I like to read. I like to meditate. I just do the care thing, right? So I think that feminine energy has a lot to do with that, nurturing and caring for your body, mind, and spirit. And that's, if it was for me, I always say in the next lifetime, I'm going to be just a housewife and I'm just going to spend my days going, to like the spa every single day and shopping and, having, tea, like with tea time with friends. Like that's what I'm
Totally,
going to
yeah.
do every single day, constantly. In my next lifetime, in this lifetime, I know my purpose. I know what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to do it. And then my reward is going to be that I'll just get to relax next life and just be in my feminine energy constantly. Right. So that's what I do for feminine energy. A lot of self-care constantly. I also respect my flows, right? So every month as we go through the phases, right, and the flows, I like to respect that. I like to not schedule things when I'm menstruating. I really like to go with that flow. That's very important for me. And as for masculine energy, well, I would say I work very, very hard. Like I'm a hard worker. Because I like my work. I like what I do. So for me, not working is something that I can't do. I literally, and a lot of people say, oh my God, that's a lot, but I work every single day. There's not a day, even on the days that I do self-care, I'm going to at least, either in the morning or at night when I come back home, I'm going to work. So I like the momentum. I like the action. I like work. So I really enjoy that. So I know that helps with masculine energy. I drink old fashions. I think I drink wine or old fashioned or champagne, but I think that it sounds funny, but I believe that alcohol helps with masculine energy. I really, really believe that drinking alcohol helps that. Now, I'm not advocating to drink alcohol every
I
single
get what
day,
you're saying. Yeah.
but at least once a week, I'm going to have my old fashioned, right? So I know that brings me into my masculine energy. And I have a very strong and protective personality. So people don't, sounds funny, but people don't mess with me, meaning in a way where men, I hear a lot of women talking about how men are, sometimes disrespectful and everything. Everywhere I go, and this might sound a little conceited, I don't know, but everywhere I go, men respect me a lot. I get a lot of respect from the male world and the male audience. I think it's perhaps because I have a lot of masculine energy. I think it's because they kind of have this respect for me. So I think I kind of project that this protection, right? Where it's like, don't be disrespectful towards me, because I respect myself a lot. I respect you. So people kind of know their boundaries. So that's how I do the feminine masculine.
I appreciate that. I don't think it's conceited at all. I think I love that you know that about yourself. And I think that more women can actually learn from that. It's because we set the standard when we like procreate with subpar men, or we're like allowing ourselves to even go out and be in the energy of, again, the man who it's just like, it's actually on us. I really believe it's on us, right? The more we respect ourselves, then we actually increase our standards. And I've definitely been years ago on the opposite side of that, but it makes a huge difference. And on that note, I'm curious, because I talk so much about periods, do you have any rituals that you love to do when you're on your period?
Yes. Well, right now I haven't, there's two rituals that I really like to do, and I haven't done them because I haven't found some red bed sheets where I am. So every time when I have my menstruation, I would change my bed sheets to red. I have red towel also. That's very important. I like to spend time alone. So right now, what I like to do, because we're with family, I'm here in South America, in Bolivia. So here we're taking care of my grandma. We're like with everyone. So I like to go to the hotel to stay alone, when I have my period. So there's that I like to do. So just a lot of alone time, a lot of also seeing what have been the past challenges of the past months, and seeing, depending on your flow, how it went. So I know that when my flow is shorter, like it doesn't last as many days, it's because perhaps I've been a little bit stressed out the past month. And then I try to see, okay, so what happened during the past month that has stressed me out that I can perhaps work on so that the next month my flow can be regular, So just try to see, depending on your flow, how you're feeling also, because when you have your menstruation, even the days before, you start to maybe feel angry or sad. So try to see, because this is just the release, the same way you're letting go of this blood. Now you're letting go of all of these emotions. So what happened in the past month that has created this, right? So I would say to do that, to really analyze through your blood.
Love that. Love that. And then, okay. So good. I want to talk about the Renaissance tour. again, when I come back to that, my other question is coming back a little bit more to business. You've been at this for 13 years. And, I know, especially for me, when I first got into law of attraction and manifestation, this was, when I worked in the personal development field, it was so exciting. And then after a while, it almost becomes a part of you, and it's less like, I think, exciting when you start to learn, first time about astrology, numerology. What kind of keeps you excited and growing now? When you're like, do you ever have a point where like, okay, I've learned a lot, what do I learn now, versus like, how do you continue to motivate yourself and have that next vision?
I have a passion and almost an obsession with wanting to become the greatest possible, that sounds cheesy in the personal development world, but it's true. I really want to become the greatest and best possible self that I can be. I think, well, we have several lifetimes, right? But this lifetime that I'm living in right now, I think, why would I be here experiencing this lifetime if it's not to take it to the maximum potential that it can be taken to? Like, at least I want to try to do that, and to take my body, mind, spirit, my personal and professional life to the maximum potential. It's like, I feel like my life is an experiment. I feel like I'm experimenting with my life to try to see how great can I become as a human being, just for the fun of it, just to see, like, in this lifetime, what can we do to make it the best possible thing that it can be. So that's basically what I'm doing. That's why I study so much about different topics. And then it turns after that into like classes that I do for my programs, because then I'm like, everyone needs to know about this. Like, to share this with everyone. So then I create a program about it, right? Now I said, we're not creating like any more programs in the AD pyramid. I'm like, it's too much. I have to stop. So even if I learn new things, I can create new things. But I really, really am passionate and obsessed with that. So right now in my life, there's all of the work, that I'm doing, and the courses. There's a lot of projects coming up. I'm passionate about so many things. There's a lot of things that I could just release right now in the next few weeks, in the next few months. But I can, because then I'm going to be bored in my 40s. So I always think that right now I'm trying to pace it, right? Because there's a lot of things, like, believe me, a lot of different projects that have been in the works. So I'm like, I need to relax. What am I going to do after my 40s and my 50s and my 60s? Like, there's things that I need to, keep for after a little bit. So trying to pace things. In my personal life, I'm just passionate about a lot of things, about learning. Right now, I'm taking horse riding classes. I'm starting Krav Maga classes in about a month, like with a private teacher. Wine, and which I already did those courses, but I'm going to redo them with a teacher here who's really, really good. And I'm just very passionate about that, about just wanting to learn and to expand my mind, body, mind, and spirit to like the best possible version that it can be. I really, really, it's a joke, but at the same time, it's not a joke. It's like, I'm taking myself and my life as an experiment. Let's just try to see what can be done in this lifetime, what can be achieved. Like, how great can we be as a human? Like, that's really what I'm trying to do right now. And then to share that with people, because, so far what I've done in my life, I'm very happy with, I'm very proud of. And I want to share that with people, to say, look, where I started, it really, like, if people would see where I started and how it started, really the reality of what was going on in my life at that point, I shouldn't be where I am today. Like, I really sometimes wish I could meet 18-year-old, 17-year-old Alexandra and just like have a talk with her and just see her reaction. She would be so excited. Like, I know I would be like, what? This is so much fun. This is crazy, because it wasn't supposed to happen. So it's like, I'm experimenting with my life, with my existence. And then I can share it with the world to say, okay, this is the way to do it. Here are the steps, and then you can do it as well. So that's the purpose right now. That's what keeps me motivated.
I love that. I resonate with that so much. And it is amazing. You look back and you're like, that was me. How is that me? And then that impacts every other human on the planet, and it raises the frequency. And it's just fun. It's literally fun to become the best version of yourself in that way. So with that, I would love to know, okay, so we talked about masculine, feminine energy, talk about personal development. Tell us about the Renaissance Woman Tour. Who is it for? What are you sharing in that? So
the Renaissance Woman Tour, first of all, this idea came in September of 2021. I have a paper where I wrote the date. I was in my mom's kitchen, And I just got this inspiration of the tour, and all the ideas came flooding. And I remember I was like, Mom, do you have a pen and paper? And she was like, oh, there's this little paper with like flowers around it. And I just wrote everything in like a few minutes. But then again, I was like, pace it, Alex, pace it, pace it, pace it, relax, relax, relax. We need to wait. Plus there was the whole, pandemic situation. We didn't really know what was going to happen. So I said, let me wait a little bit. So I decided to start it this year in September of 2023, the tour. However, this is just the beginning of it. Okay. So this is really like the test trial of the tour. I said, let's do it now. Let's start it now. It's going to be fun. This tour and these events, because that's really what they are for the modern woman of today. I have the chance to speak to a lot of women on a daily basis, and women from all ages from around the world. And I realize that there's something very interesting happening right now as we speak. Women are, I don't like to say the word independent because it sounds like we don't need no one, but women are becoming a breed. It's like a new breed of women where we are really doing it all. We're really able to do it all, and we are doing it well also. And we're kind of realizing that we can do it, right? And we have everything that it takes. It's like really unleashing the goddess that is within us. We're realizing that we have this incredible power that for such a long time we were told that we didn't have, and that we were nothing, and that we didn't deserve nothing, and we deserved the worst, and that's why the period pains and the given birth pains.
Totally.
We told all these things by patriarchy, and now all of a sudden we're kind of waking up and we're realizing, hey, I can do it all. Like, it sounds, I don't want to like promote, my goal with this story is not to promote, like a bad type of feminism. That's not the goal at all. But it's just to say to women, yes, you can. You are a Renaissance woman. We are a new breed. We're the first generation to go through all of these challenges that we're having. These new challenges at work. Women used to not work. These new challenges of being female entrepreneurs. Women used to not own businesses for the past 6,000 years. We're the first generation where we are equal also to the men that were within our lives. How do we deal with that? How do also the great men that we have in our lives, how can they deal with that? It's a whole new world, and we're the pioneers of this. We're starting all of this, right? So the goal with Renaissance Women is to teach women how you can now really take these two energies that you have within you and balance them so that you can live your best life possible, right? That's really the goal. So the Renaissance Woman, right now, we're starting at 14 different cities around the world, North America, Europe, and South America. We have two events for the Renaissance Women. We have the evening show, the evening event, which is on the Friday night in the city of where we're going, of all the cities that we're going to. It's going to be a 2-hour conference event. That's like open to a bigger public. Then we have a more private event the next day on the Saturday, which is from 9 a.m. to 19 p.m. And that's a full day training so that you can become the Renaissance woman in your life and in your community. So that day is going to be filled with teachings. It's going to also be filled with very interesting teachings, right? As you said, there's going to be the etiquette lessons at lunch. I think it's important for the woman, the Renaissance woman of today, to know these little things in order to exist in this world, right? Then in the evening, we also have some champagne and chocolate tasting that we're going to be doing. I remember I wanted to bring that because I remember when I went on tour for Full Feminine Power Now, we did this chocolate and champagne tasting in the London Eye. There was this event that we did anyways with, we didn't do it. We attended this thing and it was really, really fun. So if you go to London, in the London Eye, the wheel, right?
Yes.
They offer this VIP package where you do chocolate and champagne tasting. So I was like, let's do that for the event. It's going to be fun. So we have that. And then we also have the option of just doing the online course, because we have the online course, which is going to be Renaissance Woman. We're going to do it live starting in June of this year. It's going to be 10 weeks, 3 times a week. And for the first time, we're going to do it simultaneously in the 3 languages. So I'm going to be doing it in English, but we're going to have live translators so that it's going to allow more people to connect, right? Because right now when I do it separately, it doesn't allow, all the students to be able to connect with everyone. So we're going to be doing it that way as of June of this year. So that's what's happening. It starts September 1st. We're going to start it where I am right now, which is Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Bolivia. And we're ending in Montreal, Quebec, where I'm originally from, right? On the 1st and 2nd of September. But again, I'm saying ending, but it's just the beginning. I won't say anything else for now, but that's that.
I love it. I will make sure all of that is linked. Alexandra, are you moving back to Montreal ever?
Not for now. Not for now. Not for now with the recession and depression and inflation and everything
Yeah.
that's happening in the north. I'm sorry for all the
Yeah.
people that are north, but I have absolutely no interest of going back. I'm right now what's happening, and another little scoop on your podcast is I'm buying a piece of land, 9 acres, and I'm building a ranch here. So the goal right now is
That's
a ranch
incredible.
in the south, and then after that, a penthouse in the north. That's going to be life, how it's going to be. But probably
I love it.
2025, I'll be back to the north. Montreal, I don't know. Perhaps Toronto, I'm still not too sure. I'll see.
Ah, okay. All right. All right. I love it. And I remember when you posted on your stories, you had like this whole island of vegetables and fruit for $20. And I'm like, you get 3 things here right now for
I
$20.
know.
But anyways.
I know. I hear all about it from my friends and family who are in Montreal. I hear all about it every day. I'm like, you
Yeah.
guys come here. Come here.
Yeah, well, you are such an inspiration to women around the world, Alexandra, to myself. Just the fact that you are really bringing these teachings to the world, and it's the perfect timing. It really, really is. I'm so honored that you showed up for this podcast and shared your information. So thank you so much. And we'll be sure to link everything below. And Alexandra also has a number of online programs, different price points, starting with the Rise. They're all so information packed. You are going to want to jump on it. So Alexandra, with that, thank you so much.
Thank you to you. It was such a pleasure to share with you and to be able to connect with your audience as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give the show a 5-star review if you feel like you learned something new today. All of the mentioned links will be in the show notes. And also, are we connected on Instagram? Find me over at _lusciousliving_ and come say hi. See you next episode.